Hi everyone, welcome to the 10th OpenTESOL International Conference. I am Tiến Mai at Ho Chi Minh City, Open University, Vietnam, and I'm filming from my home in Ho Chi Minh City. My session is about facilitating tasks for digital multimodal composing in reading and writing courses. Thank you for joining my session. Now first, the key contents of my session. There will be two main parts of my presentation. In the first part, I will look at the definition, the principles, and the affordances of digital multimodal composing. In the second part, and also a more important part, I will present to you the three tasks for digital multimodal composing, developing learners as timeline makers, science communicators, and job applicants. My presentation is heavily rely on the works by Professor Christoph Hefner entitled Digital Multimodal Composing, How to Address Multimodal Communication Forms in ELT. And also, my presentation is drawn on the work of Professor Jiang entitled The Affordances of Digital Multimodal Composing for EFL Learning. Now, first, let's look at the definition of digital multimodal composing, or DMC. So DMC can be referred to students' new form of textual production enhanced with image, sound, videos, hyperlinks, and other modes. In the first year of the 21st century, Kress claimed that it is now no longer possible to understand language and its uses without understanding the effect of all modes of communication that are co-present in any text. So it means that DMC has been around for more than 20 years. And when DMC is implemented, learners could become better communicators of knowledge and express their personal identities. What about common DMC practices? So you can see that video composing, audio podcasting, and e-poster designing, they are very popular DMC practices and techniques of pedagogical approaches. There are many sharing and also research which has been done on the on video composing in reading and writing classes. But my presentation will focus on e-poster designing in the from reading to writing lessons. Now, what about the principles of DMC? Firstly, it is related to text-image interaction. How can we combine text and image? And how can we balance textual and visual representation? Secondly, narrative and conceptual representation. So basically, DMC is about telling a story. How can we tell a good story, and how can we present a timeless structure or a story that the audience or the viewers could remember? Third, audience interactivity. What resources or techniques can we use to interact with the audience? So basically, this principle is connected with the technological affordances. What are the tools? What are the technology that we can use to interact with the audience? And fourth, modality. To what extent should we trust the model? Because we are encouraging a student to develop the image and the video editing skills. But to what extent should it be truthful? To what extent should they stop and they should not go beyond the limit of over editing? And finally, visual coherence. Again, this is linked to the narrative structure, and how can we link a series of images so that we can have a coherent structure and a logical structure of the story or of the product. Let's move on to the affordances of DMC. If you look at a very useful framework here by Jiang, published in 2017, you can see that there are two main levels of affordances, the micro level and the macro level. And if you look at the macro level, so when DMC is implemented, students could have opportunity to do real-time replay and to have a self-paced revision. And DMC also relate to their learning interests beyond the classroom, the media and the live interest. Also, it showcases their English skills. So at the micro level, the affordances of DMC pretty much focus on the technical aspects. And for the macro, how will it impact on student learning? It will help the student to overcome their fear of failure, in which their product is relevant and recognized. Moving on to the macro level, when DMC is implemented, a learning space will be constructed in which students have choice over the mode, the time, the topic, and the tool that they use. So we are talking to we are referring to the technological and educational aspects of DMC, because they are acquiring new literacy skill, digital literacy skills. In some activity, they can express ideas and do civic participation. What does it mean? It means that they engage in the community activity, because their product can be showcased and their product can benefit the community. So here in the end, a learning community could be present in the classroom, which foster their autonomy, their competence, their meaningful purpose, and their sense of belonging. These refer to the technological, educational, and social aspects of DMC affordances. In the second part of my presentation, I could illustrate the three tasks, and the flow of each DMC task could begin with with my explanation of the curriculum, which I had to follow. And from the curriculum, I can illustrate how I changed the curriculum task to the DMC task with my instructional support, so that a learning community can be built. Now the first task, using a timeline. My students are at the, I'm sorry. My students are the first year English major at Ho Chi Minh City Open University, and their the language proficiency is very mixed, but I can say that the majority of them is at the B1 CEFR level. So the tasks, we are using the curriculum tasks. They are taken, all of them are taken from the Key Skill for Success Reading and Writing, the third book in the series, the second edition, created by Wall and Canva in 2015. So the students were reading about how a small amount of money can help. And after the reading text, they could practice the reading skill, in which they could use a timeline to chart the important events mentioned or narrated in the text or in the story. So this is a very popular EFL learning activity, in which the student identify the key events and with the key dates. So how would I change it? How would I facilitate the DMC components? Now let's look at my redesign task. Learners as timeline makers, DMC test 1. I could introduce the website named tam.graphics. So in this test, the student could do the test individually, and they could think about the important life events between 5 and 10, and they could combine text and visual to produce a timeline. And the themes could be related to the topics that have been covered in the course, like helping others, COVID-19 development, idols, the idols' philanthropic work, or their own reading text timeline. So you can see that students have lots of choices when it comes to text selection, or when it comes to content selection, before they put everything on the timeline, on the tool here. What about the instructional support? How would I facilitate the task? Very often I would model the task. So if you look at the screenshot here, you can see that this is my. I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry for the background noise. So this is a screenshot of my timeline, in which 5 key events that happened in 2021 were narrated, including celebrating Year of the Buffalo, celebrating my 36th birthday, suffering from a family loss, becoming my son's student, and having my first haircut at home. Looking closely, you could see my textual and my visual. So this is a very personal photo gallery included in my timeline to encourage students and to develop their sense of belonging, and also develop my identity and the student identity. My first haircut at home, because of COVID-19, all hairdressers are closed. I asked my wife to cut my hair. It worked. We were actually having fun. I do look all right. Maybe in the future I don't have to see a professional barber. So that's me, my wife, and the product here. It looks kind of funny and cool, huh? But again, because of COVID lockdown, we were not allowed to go outside. We were not allowed to visit the barber. And I also link this product to a reading text on the New Yorker entitled "The Unexpected Beauty of COVID Hair." What about the student product? What about the student identity expression? Students go beyond my modeling. They insert the background photo here. And on the 5 key events here are beautifully illustrated. I also added the photo to retain the anonymous identity of my student. So looking closely at one of their key events, we've learned that the student belong to the LGBT community, and this is what they wrote. I thought that I was straight until I met her. This is the picture that she wrote for me when I was wrong. It's so cute. Kun was the nickname she gave me. Kun, you are foolish. The caption of the picture of the notebook piece here. Again, for us, this timeline test is meaningful because we can express our identity. Now, curriculum test 2, using a graphic organizer. Again, the test is taken from the Q-Skill for Success Reading and Writing 3. And in this test, the student would be asked to create a graphic organizer to illustrate their understanding of the key information and to showcase their visual literacy. The reading is about the bystander effect result and conclusion. The conclusion here: people are more likely to help when they are alone than if there are other people around. This is a very interesting reading topic and text. So how would I change it? The DMC component in my classroom is about data visualization. Again, if you look at the original, I'm sorry, let's go back. If you look at the original graphic organizer here, the author only used very basic shapes and lines to illustrate the content of the book. So I ask students to go beyond this graphic representation. I could ask them to work in groups and to reproduce the content by visualizing data more effectively. And this is one of the first product of the startup team in my class. You can see that it is confusing, right? Because this is the first time the student were asked to do such a task, the data visualization. So they use the like it looks like a Venn diagram with the not very clear, nearly section, research, conclusion, and results. I couldn't say this is a successful product, but what do I mean here? The startup team, they could learn a lot from the exhibition of Team F5 and Team Stars. But let's look at Team F5 first. Team F5 effectively visualized the data by using the pictures of the doors in different rooms mentioned in the reading text and the number of people mentioned and also the percentage. Although they make a minor grammatical mistake about witness and witnesses. Team Stars is probably the most effective group in the class with their data visualization. So they have their group identity, Team Star, and also they include the emotional result. They use the emotional depiction and the number of stars to indicate the possibility of people helping each other. So the conclusion here, they use the light bulb. So I could say this is one of the very effective data visualization product, and the student could have opportunity. The other groups like the Team Startup, they could learn from Team Stars. This activity happened in the classroom as a gallery walk activity in which the students share their data visualization products and learn from the other teams using the same curriculum resource. So after the data visualization test, the student could be asked to become science communicators. They could choose one of the 4 scenarios. For example, in scenario 1, they could imagine that their team, a group of scientists who want to communicate to the public about the latest research findings on the long-term effects of coronavirus. Second scenario, psychologist, science of success. Third scenario, psychologist, science of doing nothing. Fourth scenario, neuroeconomics, the science of helping others. Again, these topics were selected because they are timely, because they were relevant, and because they align with the curriculum goals. And after choosing the topic, they could follow the guidelines. They could do it around, select 1 or 2 articles, and they could take notes of the key ideas. And they could use Canva to design an infographic with the inclusion of the source of the articles on the poster. For the instructional support, I specifically created a video, a Canva instructional video for this particular task on my YouTube channel, and I share this video with them in case some students they didn't know how to transfer the key content from the reading text to the Canva infographic design. And you can see here one of the products of my students. So the source of the article is from the New York Times, and this is only one part of the poster. And they were illustrating the Nixon, the case for doing nothing, the science of doing nothing, and the approach is the Nixon approach. So they are group work and identity. Team 7, designer, reader, editor, and note taker. So that's it for test 2, and let's move on to the final test of my presentation on describing a memorable ad. In the test here, the curriculum test, the student could be asked to write a paragraph in response, and after reading about some interesting articles about advertisement, they go asked to write about a particular advertisement that they saw recently and that affected them. So again, this is a popular task, and I couldn't say that this is not interesting. This is important, but what about DMC? What about digital multimodal composing? So I've changed it, and because our classroom was taken place during the COVID lockdown, and there were concerns about the future of the employment. So I asked the students to advertise themselves, learners and applicants in the post-COVID job fair. What would they do? What would their skill? How would they sell themselves? How would they brand themselves so that the recruiters, they could hire them? Again, these are first-year students. And again, instructional support modeling. I add a little bit of fun and of humor and of creativity here. So the first IELTS Grab biker, for your information, Grab is a very popular bike sharing tool in Ho Chi Minh City. And Book 10, the only super IELTS Grab biker, and master the best IELTS representative. So learning IELTS on the bike. Help teen earn extra saving and improve your chance of achieving higher level of IELTS while traveling on Saigon Street. So I make a typo here. Now, the student product, the babysitter rapper. I can take care of your children while rapping for them. Let your baby dance with my music. This is super creative, and they were showcasing their skills with the hope of earning some money. And then after they posted their poster on the Padlet Gallery, we could vote and we could choose the best poster designer and the best applicant. So here from voting to commenting to hiring decisions. That's for the DMC test number 3, learners and job applicants. So everyone, I would like to conclude my presentation in which I have showcased the 3 DMC tests, learners becoming timeline makers, science communicators, and job fair attendees. For my presentation, I hope that you could realize a need for the developing of linguistic as well as visual strategies, because the multimodal communicative competence would really matter for their social and professional futures. So that's the end of my presentation, and if you have any question or comments or concerns, you can leave the comments in the comment section below. Again, thank you very much, and I would look forward to reading your comments. Bye bye.